Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Canon Chatter TV with me, Stephen, for the first time in what feels like forever. I don't think I've actually been on a show since about the second or third week of the Rumour Mill, and it feels really strange being back in the hot seat, but it's good to be back. Joined tonight by my founder member of Canon Chatter, G. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I've literally just jumped off one stream. Now I'm on our stream. So, yeah, absolutely buzzing. Still in the swing of things. Really excited about the season. Everything's all good, my end. So, yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah. Surviving. I think's the word for it. It's been a difficult few weeks at home, just with one of the little ones hasn't been too well, in and out of hospital and stuff. And yeah, it's been a trying time, but it's good. We're getting out the other side of it, and we can get back to now talking about some football. Also joined tonight by a very red-looking Lee. How are you, Lee?
Oh, I'm really good, mate. Really good. I've been working on my suntan.
So I see. Just trying to match it in with a nice Canon Chatter t-shirt.
Available now.
You
the
good, miss?
Yeah, mate. I'm really happy to be here. Excited to talk about the new season. Think it's going to be a good one, everyone.
Yeah. Hard to believe the new season is just 2 days away.
Crazy.
And obviously tomorrow night we have the launch of the All or Nothing series on Amazon Prime. So that's why we're on tonight, because I thought, you know what, if we went tomorrow night, there'd be absolutely no point.
Yeah, literally.
I'll be honest, if we went tomorrow night, I probably wouldn't even be watching while I'm doing the show. I'd be busy watching Amazon Prime. So you know what, we've gone tonight, see how things go. But yeah, it's, you know what, I'm excited about this season. I really am. So we'll have a quick look at the comments. We've got Riddy, evening, Stephen, G and Lee. Evening, Riddy, how are you? Good to see you again. Great to see all three of you in London colours. All back in the Canon Chatter colours now. I think G knew I was back on tonight and thought I'm not taking a risk and not wearing my Canon Chatter.
There was no way I wasn't wearing this top tonight. Even if I had to drag it out the dry cleaning or the dirty washing, I was wearing this tonight because I wasn't prepared for Stephen's lecture at the end of the stream if I weren't wearing it. So yeah, I got my colour.
I don't know. He's a dictator, I tell you.
It's all about the brand. That's what he says. Yeah, man.
Listen, what we'll do, we'll play our intro video and we'll get into it.
Back for our Shabin!
So, welcome back. Our new intro video there, designed by our very own Lottie. And you know what? I just want to take this opportunity, first of all, to say well done to the England women's team, the Lionesses, for winning the Euros on Sunday. Much as it means nothing to me because I'm not English, I get that, you know, for you guys, it was a big thing. And we'll talk about it. We're just going to have a brief say on it in a wee sec. But I just want to say well done to Lottie. Along with Albert from Albert JTV and Georgina. Obviously did quite a number of shows over the Euros on Canon Chatter, keeping everybody up to date on what was happening. Great coverage, great footage, and you know what, I think they had a great time doing it. So well done to them. Jay, thoughts on the Euros? Did you watch much of it? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, you know what? Like I've said on many streams, you know, the women's format of the game is, you know, format of the game that I don't and haven't particularly watched over the years. Something that I do and I am working on rectifying. And this tournament was evidence of that. I didn't necessarily watch the games in the group stages, but I kept up to date with the scores and obviously the progression, mainly because, like you said, Lottie, Georgine and Albert were doing the coverage, which was great. The first match I watched was against Spain, and I was particularly interested in that one just because I'd heard so much about this Spanish side, and from the teams that England had played, I felt like this was the first real test in terms of the English women's team. They got through that with an extra time winner. There was some beautiful football played in the 4-0 win against Sweden in the semi-final. And me and my whole family sat down to watch the final on Sunday, I believe it was. I think it was Sunday. 5 p.m. kickoff. We all sat down, had some Sunday dinner. We had it on. And it was amazing. I think, the last time I watched maybe an international women's game was I'd say more than a couple of years ago. And I could definitely see there had been a massive improvement in terms of the quality of football. For sure. I'll be honest, I wasn't very impressed years ago when I watched it. I found it hard to actually get into the game. But this, I really didn't struggle. The level of football has massively improved. And that's testament, to the women's format of the game. It was a tough game. Obviously, following the content, I learned a bit about, obviously, the certain players and certain teams in Germany are somewhat of a juggernaut in women's football. They've won 9 Euros previously. So I knew that the ladies were going to be up against it in the final. They'd never won a major competition. So I think when they went 1-0 up, obviously we were all excited. When they conceded the goal quite late in the game, we were all like, here we go, age-old enemy. I thought at 1-1, I thought it was curtains. I thought Germany were going to come into their own and basically, just wave the English women aside. But it didn't happen. The women grew into the game and then got the winner. So I think it was an amazing achievement. And not only because it was the first major international trophy that, they brought home, but I think just the weight of expectation on their shoulders, of a nation and all the, talk and stuff about, the kind of political side of it to do with kind of gender inequality, the kind of mockery and kind of like, the mockery and the kind of fun that's made, of women's football. I think there was a lot of pressure on them, and I think it was a huge game for that reason. But the fact that there's Gunnar in the background, for the fact that they actually withstood that pressure in such a massive game, most of those players, it was probably the biggest game of their career. I think they did tremendously well. And I think all the plaudits they've been shown and are showing, people are showing them, on social media, etc., they fully deserve. And I just hope that it's, not just trending for the next couple of days or a week. I hope it actually brings about actual change in women's football, because I've got 2 daughters and there's no reason why, they should not be, or be able to access, the ability or the chance to play football any less or any more, than my son. It should be absolutely a level playing field. So, amazing achievement. Congratulations to them. And let's just hope that there is more of a kind of cultural and society shift in terms of respecting women's football. Because, like I said, in terms of the quality, I was actually blown away how much the game has improved.
Excellent, Lee. If you want to have your say, I am turning my screen and my camera off a wee sec. I'm listening. I just got to get the dog out, but I am here listening.
Brilliant stuff. I've got to say, I really enjoyed the tournament. I literally watched pretty much every minute of it. Obviously, I've learned an awful lot in the last sort of 6 months or so being here with you guys, and I've got to say that the quality of football I show all the way through the tournament was fantastic. What got me is England winning the tournament with the same starting 11 all the way through, which is an incredible thing. And the strength in depth of that England squad, when you got people like the Man United's Russo coming on, Greenwood coming on, made such a difference in our later parts of our game. The skill involved, Russo's back heel for that late winner was awesome. Ella Toon making an impact off the bench in the final with the chip. It was really exciting football. Do you know what you mentioned about when the Germans equalised and you felt that it was all going to go a little bit Pete Tong, if you like. I always felt confident that they'd go back up the other end and win it. They just the momentum, although it might have felt during that late in that second half, the momentum just shifted. They got back onto the field. They got the extra time going. I always felt confident, and my goodness me, what an achievement! And I want to say well done to all the team worked on this channel and on Albert as well, doing their thing. They were fantastic. So brilliant stuff, everyone. Well done.
Excellent. All right, thank you, Lee. Yeah, I mean, just a quick sort of comment from me. Obviously, a bit like yourself, G, I never really have watched that much of the women's football in the past. I didn't, obviously, for one reason, I didn't really get to see any of the tournament. I think I watched about half an hour one night. So I was in the hospital, and obviously we were in the children's ward, and I was staying over with my son, and he was asleep. And I went down to like a family room where you can go down, make yourself tea and coffee and stuff, and there's a wee sofa and a TV and stuff. And I went in there, I made a cup of tea, sat down for sort of half an hour because it was sort of the first chance I'd had to get away from his bedside for quite some time. And I stuck a game on. I think it was England were playing, and I mean, I was surprised with the quality of the football. You know, it really, as you say, it took me aback that it was so good. And it's credit to the women. You know, and from what I've seen, they really captured the hearts of the nation. You know,
They did.
over in England. I mean, obviously, as I say, for us over here, it wasn't as big a thing. The Northern Ireland team were there and did, take part. And I see there a comment from Riddy saying, well done to Northern Ireland, also they can be proud of themselves. Absolutely. And, as a nation, we are proud of them. I was explaining to Lolly one night, you got to kind of think that, Northern Ireland has a population of under 2 million people. Of then, you sort of look at the female population is slightly less than men, so it's just under 1 million women in the country. You then break that down to the sort of demographic of between sort of 16 to 35-year-olds. There's probably only a couple of 100,000.
Yeah.
Then of those couple of 100,000, how many actually play football?
Yeah.
So it's not a big pool of players for them to pick from. You consider there's probably more people live in your hometown, G, than there is people to pick from in Northern Ireland for the team. So I mean, they did themselves immensely proud, and as a nation we were proud of them, but they were never going to compete realistically. But it bodes well for the future, and hopefully it'll have a similar sort of impact in schools and stuff over here, that more girls will want to play. And it certainly, I know Lottie's really enjoyed, since she's taken on the role of looking after women's content on the show, she's really enjoyed and really got into the women's game, and is probably following it more heavily at the minute than she is the men's game. And it's something we maybe all need to start and look at a wee bit more. So it's good. And well done to England. So Bobby saying, yes lads, Bobby here. Evening Bobby, just back from the Commonwealth Games, I believe. I think he was the beach volleyball tonight.
Yeah, it was.
I seen a thing, he put up a story on his WhatsApp, and people are in their coats and at the beaches, people are playing beach volleyball. It's like madness. Really saying hello to Bobby. All right, well listen, I think it's time to get on to talking about some Arsenal stuff. Which is what we're really here for. Season is 2 days away. And obviously, G, you've been running the rumour mill. We've been linked with dozens upon dozens of players, as always. But we've signed 5. So I just want to we'll go Lee first. Give me your take on the 5 players we've signed so far. So obviously, we've got Turner, Zinchenko, Vieira, Jesus, and Marquinhos. Okay. What's your thoughts on those 5 players?
I will go with the obvious first. Jesus has been magnificent. I've got to say, I've really liked him for an awful long time, especially when you see when he played with Aguero, when he and the knowledge he would have passed on from him. I think what he wanted was probably some regular first team football, and so I think he couldn't have started any better for us. Zinchenko, I would say brilliant left back. He's great on the ball. He's got lots of ability in the midfield. And do you know what? The thing I like about him is we've got him ready made for that position. We're not going to have to rush KT back into fitness if he's behind everybody else, like we know he is at the moment, coming back from injuries, etc. I'm so happy we've got some real experience quality in that position. I can only talk about Vieira from little clips that I've seen. But what I do know, and I've seen some of his stats as well, looks like a great prospect. Now the goalkeeper, Turner, I'm not sure about him yet, only because I haven't seen enough of him. I'm not going to be one who's just because Bernd Leno has gone literally over the last 24 hours or so. And I'm going to say, do you remember when Ramsdale came in this time last year and everyone was saying, oh, he's no good and all this sort of thing?
Yeah.
Before I was here and sitting in this studio, I was saying, you know what? I actually really like the keeper. He's got a lot of ability. Seen a lot of him. He's a great shot stopper, and he was a very busy goalkeeper in the other teams he's been at. So, you know what? I'm very much of one of being open-minded. It's the same for Marquinhos. I think he pronounced it.
Mm-hmm.
I know literally zip about him at all, I'm afraid. But from what I've seen, one for the future looks very pacey. I wouldn't be surprised if he's one that end up on loan somewhere to get some first team football, much like Patino's gone out today down to, was it Blackpool? It was Blackpool, wasn't it?
Blackpool on loan, yeah.
So that's pretty much my thoughts. And I wouldn't be surprised we see some more coming in before the window closes. And I would like
we'll
to
go on to that in a
minute.
minute. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. G, I know obviously with you being on the rumour mill, you've been talking about the incomings that's been coming in. So probably most people who are watching will know your opinions on them. But give us a brief sort of quick summary of the five. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think last summer window, just in general, since Mikel Arteta and Edu have been at the club, I think on average, I think what they've proven is that they're able to identify players to come in and improve the overall level of the squad. But I do think there were question marks about, their ability to target and secure players that could take us to another level. And I think that the jury was still out on that coming into this transfer window. And I won't necessarily say that everybody is completely convinced at this stage, but I do think the business we've managed to do so far has been really good, really positive. I think Gabriel Jesus is going to be an absolute game changer. I don't care what people say in terms of preseason games. You can see just from his preseason games that he is everything and anything that we've not had for a long time in terms of a striker. And I don't want to sit here and, crap on, the likes of Lacazette and Aubameyang because that's history. They've moved on. They're at other clubs. But, we all know that last year we were lacking goals. So we needed to target, a striker and a striker of certain caliber. And when you look at the striker market, albeit for a couple of names, the striker market is very poor. We were never getting Haaland. He was going to City. Once Núñez was going to have a fantastic season, he did. We were always going to be blown out of the market, with regards to that. So when you look at, a quality of a player, the versatility, the price, he probably is would have been one of the most sought after players in the market. And regardless of what rivals said, there were many teams that were in for his signature. So the fact that we've actually been able to secure that signature and get him at Arsenal Football Club, I think is just absolutely amazing. I think we're going to see him just push on and be an absolute menace for defenses this season. So I'm happy about that. The Zinchenko deal for me, again, is a phenomenal piece of business. We've brought an absolutely quality player, brilliant character, winner into the squad that can play left back, that can play left centre mid, and if needed, can play left wing. It's just a no-brainer. And for the price we've paid, when you're looking at the fees that are going for similar players, that arguably he's better than, it just shows what good business that was. He slotted into that Arsenal team like an absolute sock. It's like he'd been there for years. So I'm really, really impressed with particularly those two deals. You hear the whole narrative of Manchester City rejects, etc., but it could be, it couldn't be any further from the truth. They're absolutely both quality players, and you can see that just for the fact that both of them, are absolute starters for their national teams in recent kind of friendlies and internationals that you've seen. In terms of Fabio Vieira, I didn't know much about him. I didn't know who he was. That signing kind of came out of the blue. But I think at the end of the day, the facts are the facts. He was one of, if not the most creative player in the second half of the Portuguese season over there when they lost Luis Diaz to Liverpool. He's a league winner at 21. That's a massive thing. You know, we've not just signed a young player, we've signed a young player that was instrumental to winning the Portuguese league for Porto, having obviously missed out at the season before to Sporting Lisbon. So what I've seen of him, he looks like an absolute baller. You know, he seems like the kind of guy that is going to be able to completely cut open a defense. You know, when you've got that kind of deep block. So many times last season we struggled, you know, to really break down defenses. Again, he's versatile. He can play, you know, left centre mid, number 8. He can play number 10. He can even play out wide. So again, you can see the trend of Arsenal signings being versatility. So I'm really excited to see him play because to this day, we've not yet seen him in pre-season because he's been nursing an injury. So again, I'm excited about that one. In terms of Marquinhos and Turner, Turner was simply brought in to be a backup. I've not seen him play much. In pre-season, I've not been overly impressed. There's been a couple of moments where I thought he's looked a little bit dodgy. At the same time, like Lee said, I'm not going to jump the gun. We've not seen enough of him to actually make, you know, a real judgment on what he's going to be. And plus, I don't see him playing a huge amount of games if Ramsdale's fit. I see him being more of a rotational player, playing in the Europa League, maybe the early stages of cup games. But when the games matter, and there's really anything on the line, Ramsdale's going to be between the sticks. So it's not a signing that I thought we needed to go out and spend an absolute bomb on or get a marquee name. So I'm pretty content with that. And Marquinhos, know nothing about him. What I have seen of him, he looks an absolute unit. He looks pacey. I would have liked to have seen more of him in pre-season, if I'm completely honest, but we didn't get the opportunity. I've got this tweet that I keep putting out every time we sell a player, and everybody keeps telling me, take Marquinhos off the list, take him off the list. He's not going anywhere. I'm not too sure. At the end of the day, that decision's not been made. You know, Mikel Arteta hasn't publicly come out and said he will be with us for the season. I still feel he's looking at him. I still feel he's assessing him. Yes, he may have made a decision to keep him at the club this season, but maybe he hasn't. We could potentially, as Lee said, see a late loan move for him somewhere in Europe or maybe in a championship side. So I don't think it's a given he's going to be part of the first team setup this season. But if he is, obviously we back him and we hope he does well. But yeah, I'd like to see more of him. I don't see him having a massive impact on the first team, if I'm completely honest. I think it's his first season in Premier League football. You know, if he does an okay job, I'll be happy with that and hopefully can push on maybe next season. But so far, the business has been good. It's been done early. There's, for me, a lot more to be done between now and the window, but I'm sure we'll get into that later on in the show.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, I'll give my feelings in a wee sec. I just want to read these comments out. So obviously we've got Ty, evening lads, off to work tomorrow. We're off work tomorrow because the bike race going through where I'm working. Hopefully All or Nothing drops at 12. Hopefully it does. Really, we'll see on Friday night how much we have missed a clinical finisher up front. Listen, we don't need to see it on Friday night. We know how much we've missed a clinical finisher up front. And Gary, evening, Stephen, G, and Lee in chat room. Turns out it's at 1 a.m. As in like in a couple of hours' time.
Yeah, I think so.
Might have to stay up.
Time to drop it.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, my sort of thoughts on the 5. Obviously, I haven't been very active on social media and stuff over the last few weeks, but I've obviously been talking to G a lot as we do. And G's been trying to really get me pumped up for these signings. I'm trying my best.
We know where this is going to go.
Yeah. Do you know what? Jesus is an exciting signing. And I think the fact that he has set a record with fantasy football, that 71% of people have picked him in their team, says it all as to what people have seen in preseason with him and what they think, you know, he's going to do. And I think, you know, he is that player that we've been missing, especially for that style of high press and high tempo press that Arteta wants. So yeah, he is an exciting signing. The other 4 individually, none of them really excite me. I haven't been going, oh yeah, brilliant, can't wait to get that player. You know, it's kind of been, yeah, okay. You know, Zinchenko is a good player, but I was kind of going, well, he's not the marquee sort of signing I wanted. Vieira, don't really know an awful lot about him, haven't seen him play much, so I'd be lying if I sat here and said, yeah, I really wanted him. So again, it's an okay, not that excited, but we'll see what happens. Marquinhos, he's a teenager from the Brazilian league. Worked out well for us the last time we picked up one from the Brazilian league.
Sure.
And again,
Yeah.
Turner, as you say, is a backup goalkeeper. But it's when you look at it as a whole, if you look at those 5 players together, and all of a sudden, it's a much stronger squad. And this is what I was saying right back at the start of the summer, that it was never about raising the ceiling at Arsenal. It was about raising the floor and getting the standard across the bottom an awful lot stronger, which I think with these signings, we've done that. The base of the team is stronger, which puts us on a better foot going forward, because you look at last season where we fell short was the players coming in. That was, when players were injured or whatever, that's where we struggled. Players coming in weren't good enough. Whereas now, all of a sudden, with better quality, backup players, better quality. And some of these guys, Vieira, the talk is that Vieira is going to push the likes of Odegaard, or he could play that left centre mid role, and all of a sudden, that's strong, because Odegaard's looking good. He's now been named club captain. Zinchenko, arguably, Tierney's going to have a problem trying to get back in at left back.
He is.
If Zinchenko keeps playing the way he is. Now, it could be that, Arteta wants to push Zinchenko in the midfield, which is a different thing then. KT gets his pace back. But if he's going to stick him at left back, KT's going to struggle getting back into this team right now.
Yep.
So all of a sudden, and we all, for me, KT should be captain. And, don't get me wrong, I'm happy for Odegaard, if KT's not captain. But at the same time, KT, to me, is one of the best players in our squad. And if we're saying that he's going to struggle to get back into the team, that says something about the quality of these players that were brought in.
Indeed.
Saliba, you can argue, is almost like a new signing. I hate that phrase, someone that's been at the club for 3 years, but seeing what happens.
It feels like that, though. It does feel like that.
It does feel like a new signing. So, it's good. So overall, as I say, I was not excited about the individuals, but as a group, I am excited. I still think, there's still maybe 1 or 2 more, possibly 3 more deals to be done. Obviously, pending outgoings. But we'll see. There's still a few weeks left. We've still got to get rid of some players. But it's, all of a sudden you're looking at it going, yeah, we could be all right this season.
Indeed, yeah.
I'm not. Last season, I kind of went into it and I predicted 6th. This season, I'm going, well, actually, no, I'm more confident of the top 4 finish this year.
100%.
So we'll see. Gary, Jesus, and Zinchenko, yes. Vieira, Turner, Elliott, Marquinhos, another project. Yeah, it's kind of right.
It's not bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it sums it up pretty well. Niall, evening, guys. Evening, Naz. Russ, evening, chaps. Evening, Russ. How are you? So, what I want to do, I want to look at the actual squad. So, I put this together last night. Well, just let me bring this up on the screen. So, I put this together last night, and this is essentially the state of our squad at the minute. So, goalkeepers, we've got Ramsdale. Leno has gone today, or was today? It was announced that he was away, wasn't it? Yeah, to Fulham. So we have Turner.
Late last night. Yeah.
Yeah, and Karl Hein has now officially been promoted to the first team squad. So that's our 3 goalkeepers for the season. With Okonkwo, or whatever he's called.
Okonkwo.
Yeah.
Okonkwo. He's away on season-long loan. Our defenders, we've got Cedric and Tomiyasu, White, Gabriel, Saliba, Holding, Tierney, and then Zinchenko as a new signing in there. With obviously Mari is away, Tavares is away now to Marseille for a season. Mari's on the verge of going, should I say. So again, changes there. Not massive changes. You got Saliba coming back in and Zinchenko. But all of a sudden you're looking at that, and arguably for me, Holding is the weakest there, along with Cedric. But you can't do everything in one window. Midfield, we've got Partey, Saka, Odegaard as captain, Smith Rowe, the new signing Vieira, Lokonga, Elneny, and can't believe we're going into another season like this, but with Xhaka. And our forwards at the minute, we have Jesus, Nketiah, Martinelli, and Marquinhos at the minute. And obviously, there's also there's question marks there over Bellerin, Runnerson, Maitland-Niles, Pepe, and Nelson as to whether they'll go out permanently on loan or stay as part of the squad. I mean, I'm going to share my thoughts first. And obviously, surprised Nketiah stayed. I still, I know all of a sudden everybody's sort of raving about him, and he scored 2 goals in pre-season, but he did that last summer as well and went on to do nothing. So I still don't think he's good enough. I hope he proves me wrong. I hope he gets his opportunities and he takes them. But for me, again, it's another one that, potentially next summer we need to look at maybe replacing, but we'll see how he does. Xhaka, I'm not even having the conversation about him. And then, as I've already said, Holding and Cedric, I think, if not this summer, next summer will have to be replaced. And all of a sudden, that's only 23 in that squad at the minute. So there's still room for 2 more, whether that's Pepe and Maitland-Niles or Pepe and Nelson, or whether those 2 go out and we get another 2 in. All of a sudden, that's a decent squad. Yeah. It's a decent quality squad that suddenly could do something. G, what's your thoughts on the squad at the minute?
The squad is taking shape. That's for sure. 100%. It's a better squad than it was last season. And for sure, because we've made some really good signings, in my opinion. I think looking at the list of players that are left, leaving or not sure, I'm not going to lose any sleep if all of them go. I want all of them to go. Obviously Okonkwo is a loan, Tavares a loan. I'm happy with Balogun loan, happy. Leno, Laka, Torreira, and obviously Torreira and Mari. I can't wait for them to leave. Particularly Torreira, it just seems to be dragging on. He seems to be doing everything other than honouring his contract and his contractual responsibilities. So I just want him gone. And it's a shame because he's a player I actually liked when he first came to the club. But I just think the sooner we can get rid of him, the better. Having said that, we should not be cornered into a position where we have to terminate his contract. We have to, obviously, accept the highest bidder. And Galatasaray, the ones that have coughed up the money, doesn't really sound like he really fancies going there. He probably wants to go to Italy. But from what I've read, Italy or Spain, the teams in Italy and Spain were hoping that he'd get a contract termination. So, but the sooner he leaves, the better. I think from what I've read, despite any late hitches, he probably will, end up at Galatasaray, and the sooner the better that is. Mari, as I said, needs to go. He's supposed to be joining Monza relatively soon. Bellerin, by the sounds of it, he's going to terminate his contract and he'll be going off to Betis. Again, won't lose any sleep. Renarson needs to go. Maitland-Niles, I've fed up with him. He doesn't want to play right back. He's literally thrown his Arsenal career down the drain, so I'm happy to see the back of him. Pepe, I've lost patience. Pepe was a signing I was really excited about. He's probably, to be honest, he's probably got off lightly, from me in terms of criticism, because I am very vocal and do criticize players when they don't do well. But I think I wanted this guy to do so I wanted him to do well so much that I tended to just kind of not criticize him when he probably deserved it. But I've got to the point now where I thought, let me have a look at him pre-season, and he showed me nothing. He really isn't, other than his Instagram post that he's changed a few things over the summer. That's all I've seen. I've seen his ability to post on social media. I haven't seen anything else. So really and truly, I think we've just got to, as I said in one of our other streams, it's like Pepe's situation is like, a relationship that needs to end, but we just don't know how to walk away from it. He needs to go. He really, really does. And the sooner he goes, the better. And we can actually get, a forward or stroke winger in that can really push Saka. Because right now, if Saka wasn't the kid he was, his game would even be developing, because Pepe's putting no pressure on him to start games at all. He could just be going into that right side, just thinking, regardless of how I play, I'm going to play, because Pepe's saying nothing. So the sooner he goes, the better. And Nelson, people are commenting on my tweet saying Nelson deserves another opportunity. Nelson this, Nelson that. Listen, you either want to win Champions Leagues or win titles, or you don't. And we're not going to do that with Nelson playing on the left-hand side. It's just not going to happen. He's gone out. I know he was a fantastic youth prospect, but there are a lot of players out there that were fantastic youth prospects and they haven't kicked on. They haven't developed. And guess what? They've left other clubs. That's what happens. It's just the nature of the sport. You know, if we think he's got something that miraculously might change in his career, then put in a buyback clause. It's simple. But other than that, we just don't need him at the club. Like, he's not going to push Martinelli. He's not going to push ESR on that left. He is nowhere near the starting 11. So him being in the squad, he's just taking up space. It's that simple. So that list of players for me all can leave. And I hope between now and the end of the transfer window do leave, because what it will do is it will free up space and wages in the squad for us to obviously go out and buy at least one, if not three players between now and the end of the window. In terms of the squad itself, the players that are not in that list that are staying, yeah, it's the squad is better, but it's not finished. But I am definitely part of the kind of viewpoint that Rome wasn't built in a day. And I'm not forgetting, the absolute disastrous mess that Mikel Arteta inherited. I think sometimes we do forget, including myself, just how poor this squad was. Somebody put up a tweet the other day of the squad when he inherited it, and I couldn't actually believe the squad was so bad. We have improved massively since then in terms of quality of squad. So when I look at the front line, I was one of them that didn't want Nketiah to stay, but now he's here. I'm going to back him, and he has looked good in pre-season. And I do think that Jesus signing will elevate him and hopefully push on in terms of his development. And if he don't, look, we've got him on a long-term contract. We can sell him for a reasonable fee moving forward. In terms of the midfield, I wasn't a fan of El Neni staying. I really wasn't. I wanted him to be another player that left the club on a free. But again, he stayed. I don't see him having a major role in the team. I see him being kind of a fifth choice bit part player. He seems like a good character, somebody to have in the squad. So I'm pretty much happy with him being there. But in all honesty, I don't think he will get many games throughout the season if injuries are friendly to us. Obviously, the Xhaka debate will rage on. I said in Bobby's group chat the other day that I'm just kind of bored of this conversation, and I am, to be honest. And to be honest, that's not even any more an indication of the player himself. I actually dislike the debate on Xhaka more than I dislike the player now. It's got to that point. I almost muted the word Xhaka the other day on Twitter, to be honest.
But a long time ago.
Yeah, but to be honest, like for me, he's never been a player that I've been massively, in favor of, and that's nothing personal to him. But it's just I've got to the point now where when I look at the squad, I don't see him as a priority player to kind of leave the club. I do think there are areas of the squad that, for me, need more of an improvement than making him go. Because when I look at our midfield, like, we haven't really strengthened in the midfield. So if I was to say right now, if you were to say to me, okay, we don't sign a player between now and the end of the window in midfield, but Xhaka leaves the club, our midfield is going to be worse. And that's just a fact. So really and truly, before I'm, kind of convinced it's time to let Xhaka go, I need to see a couple of signings in midfield, because right now, other than Partey, he's our second best option. So I'm happy that he's staying, because right now we seem to be quite reluctant to dip in the market for that left centre mid kind of number 8 position. In terms of defence, I think there's one name that stands out. I think Saliba, Gabriel, and Ben White have looked absolute levels above Holding in terms of his overall play. I think Holding is a good defender, but he needs to go to a team like Burnley or Stoke. He doesn't necessarily, and I don't mean that in any disrespectful way if it comes across that way, but he just doesn't suit our style of play. He's very good at, with a team that is sitting, with a deep block, defending the lead, balls coming into the box. He's very kind of a traditional old school defender. But in terms of playing out from the back and his overall gameplay, the other three are just levels above him. Mari's on his way out. I would happily see Mari go, Holding go, and us sign a left centre back to complete the quartet of centre backs that we have. We'd have Saliba and Ben White, marshalling the right side of defence, and we'd have Gabriel and somebody like Tapsoba marshalling the left side. You've got your defence there for the next 10 to 15 years. For me, that would be a complete quartet. And yeah, the goalkeeping options, I'm happy with those three. As I said, I think Turner is just a backup. In terms of Cedric, I think the right back area is not a priority, but I think come summer, I think it will be. But overall, I'm happy with the squad. But I do want that list to become more and more and more red, more outgoings over the next week or so. And I do want to see Arsenal dip into the market. And if I'm honest, I want us to bring in 3, but I think it may only be 1.
Okay, thank you. Lee, quick sort of your thoughts on the squad at the minute?
Yeah, okay. So I'll go real quick with the goalkeepers because I think that's an easy one. Ramsdale, looking forward to seeing him progress and get better and better. Like we said, we've got the decent backup, which we're looking at. I'll talk briefly about Cedric, only because he's one of the players in our squad that has actually got quite a lot of Premier League experience in other levels as well, and covering both full-back positions. Also, and I'm desperately trying to think of the guy, I'm sure Jay's going to pick it up. There's a young lad who played for the England under-21 side in the tournament, who's a right back, hasn't played any. That's the one. Who hasn't played any Premier League minutes. I want to keep a really good eye on him. Has he made a loan move out yet? I don't think he has.
They're looking at a loan for him at the minute.
Yeah.
So once he's had a year out somewhere on loan, and that's sort of the next summer, I would imagine Cedric will be the one to go, and then they'll promote the young lad from there. I agree pretty much with what you're saying about the centre backs. Holding, I don't think is great on the ball, but he's not a bad defender. But like you said, for us to progress, yeah, maybe he might be one to go. The difficulty is it's not as if you're playing Championship Manager or whatever you want to call it, is it? You can't just press bib, and then someone will come in straight away. It's not like FIFA, is it?
Yeah.
But you know, look, so we do have Tommy Asu there if we can get him fit. You know, Stephen's favourite 2-game Tommy. You know, we're trying to get him back in the side. He can play. He can cover that position. So yeah, that's all good. I want to be really careful where I approach this one because I'm looking at the midfield, and there are reasons why I think keeping El Neni and Xhaka there, perhaps not necessarily to do with on-field stuff, just to having them there in the squad for depth of cover as well as anything else. That's possibly the reason why they're still, particularly El Neni, perhaps. Xhaka, like G said, as much as we are very bored of this debate, there are other players that will need to go before him. For the likes of Torreira, likes of Bellerin, who, you know, especially them two perhaps, who, you know, haven't seen a minute of first team football for us, like in a couple of years, really. You guys know, and I get ribbed for it all the time, and I love it for it. So with my mate Eddie, you know, I'm looking. You know, I know he signed the contract. Do you know what? I think there is a possibility. There is some games where they might even play Jesus and Ketia together, and obviously with Martinelli.
So well. You see it in pre-season, yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So and for all the argument's sake about he's not good enough or whatever. One thing that we aren't going to do is lose out on him in terms of extending contract. I think that's all good. One thing I don't understand the logic in, you touched upon people like releasing the contracts. The likes of Bellerin, I know his contract possibly has got another year on it, perhaps, and Torreira, players that have got transfer fees and such. I mean, we see it with Leno, who's just gone for perhaps 8 million, I think it was, something along them lines.
Yeah.
I'm struggling in my head a little bit to contemplate the selling the likes of Lacazette for obviously he was out of contract. That this trend that we're having of good top rated players, if you like, big wage earners that disappear and go for termination contracts and off you go. that for me is not good business, but that's just nitpicking, I guess. They're like Maitland-Niles, Pepe, Nelson. Yeah, never. Maitland-Niles shot himself in the foot when he didn't want to play right back and started putting social media posts out. And I saw Nelson as a good athlete, but I don't think he's that great in terms of final passing and finishing, etc. He might go and flourish somewhere else. He may do, but like that, and Pepe came in with a big reputation and a big load of nothing for me. And possibly the reason why, there's a big question mark is because he was a big fee, and maybe people are looking at it. No, he's not very good, is he?
Yeah, he's not impressed.
No, so but we'll talk about perhaps in a little while there may be other players that potentially could replace the likes of Pepe, Nelson. I have a couple in my head which we might talk about in a minute.
Okay, no worries, thank you. Let's go to the comments here. There's been quite a few come in. So Gary, KT's professionalism will show when he finally gets to play. I expect a really good KT in the pitch, knowing his spot isn't guaranteed. Absolutely, yeah.
Great point.
Daddy Faz, sorry I'm late to the party, guys. Hope you're all well. Evening, good to see you. Gary, party is key. We have no Zinchenko like backup for him. Unless we change formation, I can't see what we do when party is out. Yeah, I mean it's a tough one. That if I don't want to go down the route of speculation, but at the minute there's still no guarantee the party's going to be with us this season. He's there as long as he's there. We don't know what's happening with the other stuff, and I don't want to talk about it. But if we do lose him through that or through any sort of significant injury, yeah, all of a sudden we may find ourselves struggling again. It's an area that maybe we needed backup, and I can understand why they kept El Neni to sort of, play that sort of role. Mm-hmm. But El Neni and Party are it's not the same caliber of player.
Yeah, leagues apart.
Yeah. Bobby Xhaka, not 34, Stephen. Progress. Not
yes. Really. Progress.
No, do you know what? We'll come back to that in a wee second. Surprise Stephen called 34 more than once.
They all said it.
New season, new Stephen.
Said the X word. Seriously? We're going to come back to it. Robert, morning, Robert. Gunners with a decent win down in pre-season. Keen to see how they go this year. Yeah, us too. You boys at United aren't doing a massive amount at the minute, so it'll be interesting to see what you guys do as well. Absolutely nailing it, G. From Jamie. Daddy Faz asked Bayern to swap Pepe for Sané. Wouldn't that be nice? That'd be a lovely swap, wouldn't it? Can't see it happening though. Really, the sale of Leno for just 3 million up front plus add-ons is an absolute joke. It is and it isn't, in the sense that, he deserved to be a first-team goalkeeper. Yeah. I don't know what you think. I mean, for me personally, I know this is going to cause friction with people, but I still think he's a better goalkeeper than Ramsdale. I think Ramsdale's better with his feet, and I think that, and we talked about this before. Ramsdale has that shithousery element to him. Mm-hmm. And I think those two qualities are what gets him
he's in the team. He's a much more likable player than Leno ever was.
But I think Leno's a better shot stopper and a better overall goalkeeper as such.
He's a good goalkeeper. Fulham have got one hell of a deal there. That's for sure. But just kind of touching on because I know that comment is obviously a kind of comment about our business, and I know Lee mentioned it about players terminating contracts, running down their contracts. I still believe that this is the aftermath of poor decision making in business, by the previous regime. And I at first it's like I kind of found it difficult to find that kind of differentiation, but it really is, because when you look at the players that we're shifting or we're struggling to shift, it's because we've got bang average players on high salaries. So we're finding it very difficult to shift them because of what they're supposedly worth, but they're worth nothing near to that value. So it is a difficult one. I think we've got to judge, the Edu administration and the Mikel administration based on the players that they've bought if they move them on and what they do with them in terms of contractual agreements. Because in terms of contract renewals, they've been absolutely flawless. In terms of, at the moment, securing the contracts and the futures of key young players, it's been almost flawless. I know at the moment you've got Saka, one kind of, whispers coming out of the club, Saliba. But if we're led to believe what's coming out of the club, it's that both will sign new contracts. And if you look at that, there has been a trend of even, about a season or two ago when Arteta was at the club, there was a lot of kind of whispers, will these players sign new contracts? And a flurry of them did. So I do think some of the business that we're doing, particularly with outgoings, can be questioned. But I do think a lot of that is still a reflection on just how poorly our club was managed previously. So I'm not going to criticize the likes of Edu and Mikel too much about that. I'm going to criticize them or praise them based on the work they do and the players they've secured and the players they may potentially in the future move on. But yeah, it is poor business, but I think it's more of a reflection on how poorly we were run rather than them in terms of doing their jobs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now just do one thing. We talked about Leno. I just want to say, all the best to him going to Fulham. Mm-hmm. When he lost his spot to Aaron Ramsdale, do you know what? You never heard a bad word come from his mouth. You never heard him go social media or doing any interviews. And I think the last game he played for us, he came in when Ramsdale was injured. I think it was against Aston Villa, if I remember rightly, against Martinez. And he was absolutely phenomenal that day. He's a great goalkeeper. I think he was with us for 4 years. And Fulham have got a great goalkeeper there. So good luck to him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. Gary, holding on any are good third, fourth options, but Arsenal need better between them and players ahead of them. Absolutely. Daddy Faz. The Leno sale is a farce with regards to how the payments are set up, but we can use some of that money towards a solid CDM and another forward winger. Then I think we will be in a much stronger place. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. The thing with it is, I think the structure of the payments, arguably it's a risk, but at the same time, I think Fulham are going to be strong enough to stay up this year. I think, you look at them in the Championship last year, they were a different team than they had been before. I think Scott Parker went to Bournemouth, didn't he? Or did he go from Bournemouth to Fulham? I can't remember. But I think they'll stay up. I think with Leno, Leno could be a difference maker for them. That's the thing. So I think the reality is we probably will get the 8 million. Fingers crossed. Yeah. Gary, midfield targets will make clear who starts based on the talents we are thought to be looking at. Jamie, be quickly, taking too long. It was when you were doing your squad roundup that came through, and you said you weren't going to take long. You put that in almost instantly. Really trust the progress. New Stephen, good vibes. No, it's not. It's not. I agree, Stephen. Leno was a fantastic shot stopper, and I still think the double save in the North London derby, but not being good with his feet buggered it for him. Love Rambo, don't get me wrong. Yeah, I mean, I agree completely. It is his ability with his feet, and I said this before, but I said before with Martinez that Martinez was better with his feet than Leno, and Martinez probably should have been starting over Leno when Emery was there because of the fact that Emery wanted that sort of play out from the back. And to do that, you need a goalkeeper who's good with his feet. And that's what lets Leno down. If Leno's playing in a team where he's not expected to, be a footballer as such, then he'll thrive. Gary Arteta would rather live through growing pains of young players than a senior player let down with their performances. Daddy Faz, most of the dead was gone, which is great progress from Arteta and Eddie. They inherited a load of
rubbish
and have done well to get the squad. They won't now. Some more additions needed, though. Yeah, Jamie, Marco Silva is their manager now. Right, okay. Yes, thanks, Jimmy. Right. Tongue-in-cheekly, hard to follow, G. Absolutely.
It's hard to follow these two, to be fair. These two are pros.
Yeah, I just banned
them. I need to go back to this. All right. Bobby's comment. Xhaka and 34 Stephen progress.
Why, Stephen? Why?
Surprised Stephen called 34 by name more than once. And Gary, Stephen said the X word. Right. Do you know what? Here's the thing. It's a new season. I still don't want Xhaka at the club. I still think he's an empty shirt when he's on the pitch. And no one will ever convince me otherwise. I'm not going to have the argument. So
that started so well.
Because me and Bobby would be going at this for hours. I still,
That started so well. As soon as you said it's a new season, I thought, this is going to go so well.
Listen.
And then it just went south again.
I hope someone's just gifted that, by the way.
I think Bobby just tuned off at this point.
Yeah. Listen, I accept he's not going anywhere this year. I accept that.
Oh gosh.
It depresses me that we're going into a new season. I'm still going to have to see his face. But that's just a personal opinion. I still, I watched preseason and okay, he made some good passes and he was good, some good moves and stuff. But there was nothing there that made me think, I want him. He still slows the game down. And gee, you're laughing, but I know you and me have had this conversation that he still slows the game down too much. He still misplaces too many passes. He loses the ball. And anyway, I will give him the benefit of the doubt because it's the start of a new season. So I'm going to go back to calling him Granit Xhaka.
Nice.
But after 2 games when he gets a red card and we lose the game because of him, I'm going back to calling him 34.
Are you all happy now? You've got your Stephen rant. Are you all happy?
You addressed it.
Daddy Faz, an empty shirt. Don't hold back, Stephen. I won't. I never will. Stephen, you started well. Number 33. No worries. He'll go to the bench when Zinchenko plays midfield in case he is healthy. Do you know what? I hope so. And do you know what? It'd be all right as someone to come on as a sub in the last 10 minutes, when we're 4-0 up and we need a player sent off. He's the perfect player to bring on,
Oh, Lord.
Oh, my goodness. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back.
Yeah, we're back.
Lee, incoming.
Ooh.
How many and where? You said earlier on there was a few names in mind. So who do you want to see us bring in?
It may be a little bit obvious, but it looks like there's a bit of a fire sale going off at Leicester at the minute. So I quite like the idea of Tielemans and Maddison. I know Maddison's one that was linked with us a long time ago. There's teams going in with bids and stuff. But that extra quality. Last season, Maddison was very interrupted with his injury record and stuff. Still got some decent numbers, and Tielemans filling a number 8 that might fill someone else's position. Hi, Xhaka. I think that could be a good move. That's so I'll go them 2.
Okay.
With fingers crossed maybe for one more, but 2 is probably optimistic.
All right, G.
My personal opinion. I want 3. I want a left-sided midfielder, number 8. I want a striker, whether that be a target man or someone to play across the front 3, and I want a left-sided defender. I don't think that's going to happen. So in terms of prediction, I think we'll get 2 between now and the end of the window, and I think it will be a midfielder, and I think it will be a wide stroke winger player that can play across the front 3. If I'm going to put money on it, I think Tielemans deal gets done, and I think Cody Gakpo is the player we'll probably target late in the window before deadline day.
Yeah. Okay. I've said similar. I think realistically it does very much look like Tielemans is going to be done.
Yeah.
I'm not unhappy with that. Don't get me wrong. I like Tielemans. I've said before I wanted him before he went to Leicester when he left Monaco. So I'm not going to sit here and suddenly say I don't want them. That said,
here comes the part.
That said, when you look at it, and we've been linked with Paqueta from Lyon, and you kind of go, right, well, Paqueta can play left centre mid. He can play as a 10. He can play as a false 9. He can play on the right wing. He can cover 4 positions.
Yeah.
Tielemans doesn't have that flexibility in his game.
No.
He's kind of really a central midfielder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he can play central midfield. He could play to one side of central midfield.
Yeah.
possibly the other. So you're not getting as much flexibility with him, so he doesn't excite me as much as Paqueta. And then Gakpo is the other one. I think Gakpo can play anywhere across the front three. He's not as strong on the right, but he can play on the right. I still think he would push Saka. And then also he can be, because he's quite tall, I think he's like 6'3", 6'4". He can be that sort of target man up front, which is, we don't have any height up front.
No.
That's the thing, so that being said, I mean, Martinelli and Jesus are both very good with their head. So if either of them are playing up front, they're both very good headers of the ball, but you can't imagine them out jumping people quite as much, whereas Cody Gakpo can do that, and he has some strike on his left foot. So I would love the two of those, but I do think it'll be Tielemans. Not 100% sure who the winger will be. I do hope, we get Gakpo. And then, as you said as well, if we could get one more, a left-sided centre-back, for me to sort of compete with Gabriel. I don't think Holding's the person. He doesn't match up with the style play that Arteta wants. He's good at, how would you put it? He's a defender in the Tony Adams mold, and then he's kind of blood and guts. He kind of, you could liken him to a Terry Butcher style player, in that he comes out and he'll get the ball and he'll thump it out of play. And he'll get it away and he'll clear the lines. But he's not going to be the one that's going to distribute the ball. He's not going to be pinging 30, 40-yard passes across the pitch.
Just not in his
whereas
game.
You've got that with Gabriel, Saliba and White can all pick a pass. And that's when you're building from the back, you need players that can do that. So ideally, left-sided centre-back as well. And I think Tapsoba is the one that we've sort of talked about before. That would be the ideal window. I can't honestly see us getting all three of those. I still think there's a big money signing somewhere. I just don't know which position is coming in. I still think, when you look at it, we had money for Rafinha and we didn't spend it, and the talk was it was Rafinha, and there was still, Tielemans and everything. So I still think there's money there to spend.
They're going to pull the trigger at some point, I think.
There's money there to spend. They just need to get some more players out. They need to get Pepe away. They need to get a couple of more players as well, because Pepe's the sticking point. If we can't get rid of Pepe, then they can't really bring in another winger.
No.
So we need Pepe to go. To make a difference. So
we probably couldn't even sell him on eBay at the moment. So
no. All right, let's have a look at the comments. Where we got to Gary saying doubling down and tripling down. I love it. Come on, the football season. I am indeed. Daddy Faz, 2 more at least needed. Gary, 3 more incomings, midfielder, CDM, winger, and a right back. I don't know about the right back, as we've already sort of mentioned. Cedric and Tugi and Tommy are grand, and we've seen Ben White playing there in pre-season.
That's where we start.
I think we've got cover there. We've got obviously 2-game Tommy. We've got Cedric. We've got Ben White. Even Zinchenko can marshal the right as well if needs be. So I just don't see that as an area that. Don't get me wrong. I think it's definitely an area that Arteta and Edu will be evaluating, because Cedric, as good as a character he is, reliable, Premier League proven, etc. He's not the type. For me, he's not the quality of player that I want there. Tommy's fitness issues are a concern massively. And I think they're going to be looking at that big time this season. But I think we've got enough players to cover there. Even Saliba can play there as well. Yeah. So I just don't see it being a priority this summer. But I do think moving into, depending on how this season goes, I think next season it could be. And plus, like Lee said, we've got a couple of really good young prospects coming through as well. So we might not want to go out there and spend, your 50, 60 million on 2 players or even 1 player, because you got your Norton Cuffy who can play there. You've also got the kid who recently got injured. He was really impressive in preseason, Walters. He plays as a centre back, but he can also play as a right back as well. So yes, it is an area of concern. It's not a priority, but it's an area of concern. But I think with the prospects coming through, we might be a little bit more reluctant to go out there and get a world-class or potentially world-class right back, given the prospects coming through the academy.
I think the thing for me is if you look at the squad now, you can almost, if we bring 2 more in, we know who the outgoings are, who the club are looking at getting rid of this summer. The list is there. I put it up. It's obvious who we're trying to get rid of this summer.
Yeah.
We're trying to then bring a couple more in. But I think you can already look at the squad now that I had brought up there on the screen. You can look at that squad and you can already pick out the players that will be moved on next summer and replaced.
And that's what you want.
You can already see a year in advance where we're going to have to change certain players.
Yeah.
So if you look at that, for me, you're looking at it and you're going, right, Cedric next summer, Holding, if not this summer, next summer.
Yeah.
Elneny, next summer will be gone. Potentially Xhaka next summer will be gone.
Mm-hmm.
If Nketiah doesn't kick on this summer, he'll be gone.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden there's 4 or 5 players, and that's your change. That's 25% of your, 20% of your squad next summer that we're changing, that we can already see now. So, it's good that you can actually start to see that taking shape. Whereas for the last couple of years, you've kind of gone, well, I mean, I remember having a discussion with you, G, and we went through the squad, and basically there was like 7 players that should be staying.
We didn't even have a team.
There wasn't enough players to keep to make a starting 11.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you're sort of going, well, actually, potentially next summer we need to change 5, and then that's a really, really strong squad. And then from then on, what you'll see, I think, going forward is 1 or 2 changes a season.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like this point next season, obviously depends a lot on how this season's going. But this point next season, we need to be looking title challenge. That's what we need to be looking. Like this season, we're looking top 4, and then by the time we ring, maybe 2 to 5 changes, we're looking at a more or less complete squad. And at that point, that's when you want to be thinking about, regular Champions League football and pushing for the title, because that's how close we're coming. At one point we couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel, but really and truly, by this time next year, going into the transfer window, we're talking about slight tweaks of the squad, and we really ought to be challenging. So it's exciting, it's promising, because at some point, I mean, like you said, when we looked at the squad, it was just head in hands. How do we fix this? Because it's an absolute disaster. Yeah.
It was after the Liverpool game, not last season, the season before.
Yeah.
And it was around about sort of April time, and we'd taken quite a heavy beating.
I remember the meltdown I had on YouTube.
Yeah.
that was a joke.
All right, ready? I predict 1 more incoming before the window shuts, unless Pepe is offloaded. Well, it's kind of what we're saying as well. Yeah, I agree. Daddy Faz, Edu, Arteta working their magic, so don't worry too much. I feel there will be a massive signing made on deadline day to get us even more excited. I hope so. Gary, White at right back, weakened centre back depth. Pick one to fix depth, centre back or right back. Yeah, it's a fair point, but as G's already said, you've so many options for right back. You Cedric, Tomiyasu, White, Saliba, Zinchenko, Khan. I've even seen Holding play at right back. I wouldn't like to say it again, but I've seen it.
Yeah.
Daddy Faz, I've just got a feeling that something massive will happen. Snapper Bread, is that a new name, or do you recognize that one?
Not one I know.
No, I've not seen it, so yeah.
Welcome to the channel. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. I think really we need 2 players, striker and a forward, striker/forward and a DM. I can take Cedric as right back, or even Ainsley Maitland-Niles as backup. Yeah, I mean, if Maitland-Niles actually wanted to play at right back, but as G's already said, he's kind of ruined his career. Evening, Lottie. How are you?
Hi, Lot.
You haven't replied to my message about your score prediction, but we'll get it off you in a wee minute. And you got lots of praise at the start of the show, so you'll have to watch that back. Gary, Cedric at right back for multiple back-to-back games will piss us off. I've seen it. Ainsley Maitland-Niles doesn't want to play for Arsenal. Time to go. Not worth talking about him right back anymore. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. It's time, Maitland-Niles went. We've got to get rid of that sentimentality. You know, I've said it before. There's room for sentiment, but not sentimentality. This idea that, you know, every player coming through from heel end, we want to do well, but the reality is that only a very, very select few will. So we need to be ruthless, the way that the likes of Chelsea and stuff are, where they sell these players and they make money for them. So, you know, we need to be like that. We need to be like Brighton and buy players for like 5 million and sell them for 50. But, you know, that can't always happen. Lottie G, you're reaching, I think, another 2 to 3 seasons, the title challenging.
Nah, not at all. I think when you actually look at the comment I made, I think, you know, I'm talking 1 to 2 seasons. So 2 to 3 seasons, we're only about a season out. So there's not actually, you know, a big difference. I think when you look at the squad we've got, at the end of the day, our expectations last season were top 6. We got that. Our expectations this season have to be top 4. And we need to secure that. So next season, we really want to be, you know, the following season, we really want to be mounting a title challenge. Not to say we'll win the league, but we want to be in the mix. I don't see us being in the mix for the title this season. But I think if we have a top 4 season this season and we continue to evolve the squad, like we said, maybe 5 players or so moving on, 5 or so players coming in, I think next season we should be looking at a title challenge. Winning it is a whole nother ball game. But yeah, a title challenge 2 seasons from now, easy. That should be the target, because, you know, if top 4 is the target this season and we secure that, it can't just be top 4 again the following season. There's got to be progression. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't think we're a million miles away from a title challenge. I have to be honest. I don't think we are.
Lottie apologising as it's date night. What are you watching us for, Lottie? Go and enjoy your date. We're really boring.
She loves football, man. She loves football.
All right. So sort of conscious of time, so we need to sort of move this on a wee bit. Season expectations. So Lee, what are you expecting this season from this team?
I would really go with the notion of a top 4. Sounds very realistic in the league. Nice run in the FA Cup would be good. Be nice to get beyond the 3rd round this time. Yeah, I know, it was good fun, that Nottingham Forest game, wasn't it? Do you know what? The League Cup's always an interesting one for me when you see a lot of the young players come in, but I never expect us to win it. But and Europa League, you know what? Why not? Why not?
Very winnable.
Absolutely. We said we're bringing in players, we're getting strength and depth. You know what? Yeah, why not? Why not? Let's have a nice top 4 and maybe a decent run in Europa League. I nearly called it UEFA Cup then because I'm so old.
G, your expectations for the season?
Yeah, it's kind of really simple for me. I think, you know, having finished 5th with the squad that we had, in terms of age and lack of quality, the expectation this season can only be a top 4 finish in terms of league. You know, I think anything less than that, I think Arteta is going to be under immense pressure, you know, at the end of next season. So we have to be targeting and expecting a top 4 finish. And I think outside of that, you know, a bit of silverware would be nice too. You know, it's always good when you win trophies, regardless of however you finish in the league. You know, every season you progress in the league. At the end of the day, you also want to fill up your cabinet. You know, that's what you want to do. That's what a big club does. And that's something we've done even during our most dreadful years. You know, in recent times, we've still won the odd FA Cup here and there, which is what the fans want. So in terms of expectations for me, the minimum I expect is a top 4 finish. So that's kind of the minimum I'd expect. In terms of a bonus, I'd love a cup win, whether that be the Europa League or whether that be an FA Cup or Carabao Cup.
Okay, no worries. So I was talking to Lottie earlier on, and I know sort of her expectations this season. She's sort of thinking around about 3rd place finish in the league. And then think's capable of possibly a couple of cup wins in FA Cup and the Europa League. For me, my expectations, it's minimum top 4. You know, I know you got to look at it and you got to say, well, you know, City and Liverpool are going to be there. So really it's you know, 2 out of 4 places are undecided. Spurs have strengthened. I know a lot of people are sort of saying, you know, if you look at Spurs window and the players they bought, you know, if we'd have bought those players, there'd have been uproar. But
100%.
The flip side of that is you've got to look at it that they bought players that suited what they needed, that filled gaps in their squad. You know, so you can't look at it in such black and white terms of we wouldn't have wanted those players. We would have wanted those players if they'd have filled the gaps that needed to be filled in our squad. So, you know, I do think Spurs have strengthened. That being said, I mean, their pre-season hasn't been great. You know, they've not exactly been setting the world on fire. United have signed a couple of players, but again, not massively strengthened. Be interesting to see what Ten Hag does in his first season. Chelsea have had a slow window, you know, with Barcelona signing all their players they've been trying to get. But there's still a possibility that they can do something, you know, and they potentially will bring in a few players. Yeah.
Breaking news. You mentioned Chelsea. You couldn't have timed that any better, especially on this Arsenal channel. So this is Fabrizio Romano saying they're considering a move in now for Aubameyang.
Yeah, I know. I just saw that.
You've just seen that? I thought,
don't care.
what are your thoughts on that one?
Couldn't care less.
Oh, okay. Thanks, mate.
Do you know what? Aubameyang plays for Barcelona. What I care what he does.
No, I'm just bringing it up, mate.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that, you know, you're asking for an opinion. I'm just saying that he plays for Barcelona. I don't care where he goes. Although you got to wonder what's going on with Chelsea and Barcelona.
I don't know what's going on. Some kind of love-hate relationship going on there.
Yeah. So anyway, back to my point. Chelsea will strengthen.
Yes.
You know, so it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be hard to get, but consistency. That's the big thing for us is consistency. We can beat basically any team. You know, we may struggle against City and Liverpool, but anybody else in that league, we can beat on our day.
Easy.
It's just making sure that every day is our day. But minimum expectations has to be a top 4. And yeah, I'd like to see us get good cup run. If we don't, you know, I've seen people say if we have to win the Europa League if we don't get top 4 because that's our Champions League. I'm not saying we have to win it, but we definitely have to be in the mix. We have to be there in the sort of latter stages of the competition in with the chance of winning it. So that's kind of my expectations for the season. Let's see what you guys in the chat have to say before we quickly have a look at Friday night because, wow, an hour and 20 minutes we've been on already. It should be, but it's Arsenal from Lottie. Lottie is running outside for a smoke for chat with us. Really, if given the choice, I would take Europa League or a cup rather than top 4. Lottie saying our else won't delay that, Gary. Initially for me, Champions League, but can't stay out of top 4 and top 4 in FA Cup or League Cup minimum. Yeah. Lottie smoke codes could be in the bathroom. Take your pick. Jamie, I thought you were going to say Frankie de Jong Lee. I mean, that's there. Apparently, they're in talks for him. So
yeah,
you know, the Barca still Cucurella. Not yet. Just on that, the League Cup. Just very quickly before we do move on to tomorrow or the Friday night. What's your sort of thoughts on the League Cup now? I know a lot of teams, you know, sort of have used it, and we have used it extensively over the years as an opportunity to blood youngsters and stuff. But if you look at the way Pep deals with cup competitions. You know, he won it 4 years in a row. Okay, they didn't win it last year, but they had won it 4 years in a row because his opinion is you want to win every trophy because it, you know, winning breeds a culture of winning. Do you think we need to go into, the Carabao Cup, as it's called, or the League Cup, taking it really strong, putting out a real strong 11 the whole way through and trying to win it in that hope that it starts to breed that winning culture?
I think so, 100%. I think a lot of the time it does depend on your squad. And I think, I think Pep Guardiola and Man City are in somewhat of a privileged position to be able to do that, where they can field a second, if not a third string, and still beat most of the teams in the Carabao Cup. But yeah, as the squad, the Arsenal squad is evolving and becoming a lot stronger in terms of depth. I think, we could go quite far in that competition, even with, our second string, or at least a team that is, slightly more rotated, rested some players. But I think, once you get into like the kind of quarterfinal, semi-final stage, I think you've got to take that cup seriously, because I think where English football has become so much more competitive as well, you're talking about, 6, 7, 8 teams that are, continuously, contesting for top 4 spots, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, Europa League. So the chances of winning things have just become less and less more frequent, because the quality of football in the Premier League is just so much better. You look at somewhere like La Liga, and you don't have to look far beyond Real Madrid and Barcelona. When you look at the Premier League, you've got City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Man United, Arsenal, Spurs, West Ham, Leicester. These are all teams. You've got Newcastle on the up now with obviously the recent, takeover bid and stuff like that. So I think we can't afford to look at these cups as Mickey Mouse cups and just saying that they don't matter. And you just have to see the reaction of the Liverpool players when they won the Charity Shield. I remember people laughing at us when we won the Charity Shield a couple of seasons ago. And it was just, people were mocking us for being, some tin pot cup. But you can see silverware is silverware as far as I'm concerned. And winning games, is important. And you just have to look at pre-season for that, the momentum. So I'm very much for taking all cup competitions seriously, because at the end of the day, if we finish next season in the top 4 with a Carabao Cup win, I would class that as a phenomenal season, given where we are in terms of our process and our progress. So yeah, top 4 finish with a piece of silverware, regardless of what it is, I would class that as a brilliant season for Arsenal. So yeah, I'm in favour of taking all cup competitions seriously.
Right. Lee, any difference of opinion on that, or would you go with what G says?
Do you know what? I've always been one to sort of want to see the younger players get a chance. I've been up there at the Emirates, even back at Highbury, when the really young players come out. But I see this year's League Cup as an opportunity for players like, we haven't even mentioned Emil Smith-Rowe on this show yet, who's behind everybody else. I know he's got a bit of injury. Players that haven't had any pre-season time. When you come to when we'll go into that competition, I think there's a chance for players who don't really get an awful lot of, or won't get a lot of first team football, to get out there and get their levels up. So I think a bit of a mix. I think you're right about what you're saying. When you get to later stages of competition, and they've definitely looked at wanting to finish the job off. And unfortunately, I don't think we've picked up that competition since the George Graham days, when in the double against Sheffield Wednesday. So
1993.
Yeah, it was wonderful Steve Morrow go, if I remember. But yes, for me, it's very much. I take it or leave it, but it's a developmental kind of competition for me. But it will have its uses definitely for people who need the minutes on the field.
Right, grand. Really, the League Cup is often undervalued, but would you not rather win a trophy than just bragging about 4th place? Yeah, I would. And I said it, a couple of years ago when we won the FA Cup. I would more than happy. People were saying, "Oh, would you have swapped the FA Cup for top 4?" No, I wouldn't. FA Cup all day long. It's a trophy. I'll always take a trophy. So yeah, All right, let's move on to tomorrow night because, as I say, conscious of time. I've picked a lineup for the game. Sorry, not tomorrow night, for Friday night for the game against Palace. And to be honest, it's the same starting 11 we went with against Sevilla at the weekend, with Ramsdale in goal, White at right back because I think it's a little too soon for two-game Tommy, and Cedric hasn't been getting as many minutes, and we've seen White play that right back role for the last couple of games. How he'll match up against Zaha, I don't know, but it'll be interesting. But that's what I'm predicting. Alongside then Saliba getting his Premier League debut with Gabriel, Zinchenko at left back because again, although Tierney's back in training, I think it's just a little too soon for him. Partey, Xhaka, and Odegaard in midfield, with Saka, Martinelli, and Jesus making his debut up front. G, happy enough if you've seen that lineup, or is there any changes you'd make to it?
Yeah, 100%. That's the lineup I'd go with. I watched every single game during pre-season, even some of them that were in the early hours. And in terms of the 11 players that did the business, that turned out, whether it was to turn around a pre-season game or absolutely annihilate Chelsea and Sevilla, that was the squad, that was the team. So I see no reason why Arteta would pick an 11 outside of that. Bar an injury or, suspensions don't count right now. So, yeah, if I saw that team, I'd be pleased. I predict that will be the team Arteta will play. And I think that team is well within, its kind of quality and strength and depth to turn over what will be a difficult game against Palace away. So, yeah, I'll be more than happy with that lineup.
Yeah, it is going to be a difficult game. Palace obviously give us 2 hard games last season. I think we got a draw and a defeat against them, if I remember right. And Vieira's got them playing well. They've had a decent pre-season. They've looked good. They've looked very good going forward. But you can still get at them at the back. And I think with that high press that we seem to be mastering, I'm confident we'll get a result this time. Lee, if you've seen that lineup, would you be happy, or is there anything you would change about it?
100%. That is the lineup. That's the lineup that's going to go out. I've got no doubt in my head about that. Absolutely nailed it.
Happy enough with it?
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned White at right back. I'd probably play him ahead of Cedric. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think Tomiyasu is anywhere near ready yet. So I don't see any need for any other changes. We might have an interesting sort of way the game will play because there's more subs as well. We've got the 5 sub rule in effect over 3 periods, I believe. That's another thing we haven't really got time to talk about. But the squad management of using the substitutions will be interesting over the season.
Yeah, no, absolutely. 5 subs is going to make a big difference. And obviously having better quality subs will be a big help to us. Okay, so with that said, before we do score predictions, G, are you confident going into Friday night?
Yeah, I am. I'm very confident. I think, we had a really good season last season. And the reason why I say that is because, I predicted us to scrape a top 6 finish and we finished 5th. And I think had it not been for key injuries, as well as, a lack of squad depth, I think we would have cruised to 4th, if not 3rd, during last season. So we're in a new season. Pre-season could not have gone better in terms of performances, results, and so far early business. So I'm very confident going into this new season. And let's face it, starting the new Premier League season away to Palace on a Friday night is probably the toughest, other than playing maybe Liverpool and City. It's probably one of the toughest fixtures you could ask for. But it's a good test. It's an opportunity for the players to actually prove that pre-season is not just pre-season, and that we have this type of performance in our locker when it matters, when it counts. So yeah, I don't see why I wouldn't be confident going into this game. Obviously, there is always that slight doubt in the back of your mind that will the lads turn up? And that's always going to happen until we actually start putting a good run of performances together in the league. But yeah, I'm pretty confident, kind of a 95% confidence that We're going to turn up, we're going to perform, and we're going to beat Palace on Friday night.
Okay. Lee, you confident?
Oh, I'm always confident. I'm the optimistic one of the three of us.
Fair enough.
But do you know what? Sometimes that confidence can be misplaced.
Yeah.
And you know, we come in. Look, G says, you know, we've come in to the all the pre-season and all that. Couldn't have gone much better. Yeah, I can see it, can't you? Sort of 5 minutes into the play, Zaha's got us on the break, and it's 1-0 to them. I can see it already happening. But no, I'm gonna be. It's gonna be fine. We're gonna be all right.
Okay. Right. I'll read these last couple of comments, and then we'll get some score predictions. So Lottie, Gary, look at Brighton's tweet. He ain't going anywhere. This obviously in relation to Cucurella or whatever he's called. I think they put a statement out saying tonight they hadn't accepted a bid. I think it's only a matter of time, though. Daddy Faz, as long as we finish above Spurs, I'm happy. But seriously, silverware is priority for me this season.
Yeah.
Gary, easy peasy, stick with lineup from last 2 matches. Don't overthink it, Arteta. Daddy Faz, the lineup picks itself. It does. However, it's funny because we're talking about the strength of the squad now, yet we're still saying the first 11 picks itself.
Yeah.
Which then kind of makes you think, well, actually, is the squad as strong as we think?
But I do think that's down to the players that we have out so far, though. I still think, like, right now, we've got KT out, we've got Tommy out, we've got ESR out, we've got Fabio Vieira out. So I do think, you know, those 4 players, fully fit, have a hell of a chance to play in a starting 11 for Arsenal. So I do think that's quite a bit of it. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, like we all 3 of us have said, you know, I don't think the rebuild is complete. I don't think our business should be done at this point. I want 3 players. I think we probably only will get 1 or 2. But I think if you look at those 4 players and the quality of those 4 players, like you look at Tommy, KT, Fabio Vieira, and ESR, to have those players on a bench, that's a decent bench.
Yeah.
That's decent options to have available to you. You know, they are players that can come on and influence a game. So I think if you add those, if you have those 4, and all of a sudden you add a Gakpo and a Tielemans to that, you're laughing in terms of where we were to where we, you know, hopefully will be. So I agree with what you're saying. You know, having a squad, having 11 players that picks itself right now, I think is more to do with just the players we don't have available, obviously minus, you know, some future potential signings, but also the form of that 11 as well over pre-season. I think Arteta would be, you know, pretty foolish to break or kind of break up what's clearly worked.
Okay. All right. IFT Pod, morning lads. Sorry I'm late. We'll catch up on what I missed later. Scott, no worries. Scott, good to see you again. Scott also saying we're going to start with bang, feeling scarily confident about the Palace match. Really hope Patino smashes it at the Seaside. Yeah, he's off the Blackpool on a season-long loan. And Gary, starting 11 is set. Bring back injured players. Then we talk Tomiyasu is an easy one. KT isn't a given unless Zinchenko goes to midfield. Otherwise, yeah, absolutely. Right. Prediction time. So, very quickly, if you weren't watching us last season, you won't know. If you were watching us last season, you will. We run our wee sort of predictor league between us, just between ourselves, and we also have each week we get a prediction from either a guest that's on the show with us or one of you guys in the chat, and we do that as a charity bet, and we're going to continue that this season. Last season, I'm not going to lie, we kind of lost track towards the end of the season just with one thing or another. I know the guests were winning heavily, so we'll put it down as the guests won the predictor league last season. Unfortunately, we didn't win very much money for charity. However, I took the little bit of winnings that we had, and I stuck. We had said the idea was that, you know, there was me, G, and Lottie last season when we started this. The idea was that the winner would get bought a bottle of something by the 2 losers. or if the guests won, we would donate that money to charity. So I kind of took the extra money and made a donation to, it was Air Ambulance Northern Ireland. So I made a donation to them of 40 quid. It's not an awful lot, but every little counts. So I did that. So we're going to do it again this season. G, have you had a chance to think of what charity you'd like to nominate this season?
I haven't as yet. I haven't decided on one. I've got a couple in mind, but by the time we're back on the air, I will have made my decision.
Okay, great. So, Lee, as you're now officially getting to be part of the Score Predictor League, you can go first.
Wow,
What is your prediction?
Exciting. I'll go for Palace 1, Arsenal 2.
Okay. So I'm just putting these into the spreadsheet. Just for anybody that isn't sure or that isn't aware, if you get a correct result, you get 1 point. If you get a correct score, you get 3 points. G?
Yeah, Lee stole my thunder. I was on Albert JTV just before this show. So yeah, I've been on the air about 3 hours now, so I'm starting to flag. But yeah, I'm gonna go 2-1. I don't, although I'm confident, I don't think it's gonna be a walk in the park by any means. So I think we'll nick it, and I think we'll nick it 2-1.
Okay. I am going to go for 3-1 for Arsenal. I'm confident, so I'm going 1-3 or 3-1, whichever way you want to look at it. If Lottie or Bobby are in the chat, drop your scores in. If you're not, I'll get them off you after. Let's read a couple of these comments. I've already picked out. I'm going to go. I can see his scores in there, but I'm going to go with Riddy for our guest, our charity bet tonight, purely because he was the first person to put a comment in tonight's show. So you can be the first guest or first viewer to get their bet used for the charity bet. So where we got to, Gary was going 1-3 for Arsenal as well, but he settled for 2-2, nothing less. Daddy Faz 2-0. Jesus gets both with a solid and dominating performance. And Riddy is going for 1-1. So let me just make a note of that, and then I'll get you quick odds. So 1-1 is 11 to. Oh, sorry, that's 1-1 is 6-1. So it returns £7.
Nice.
So hopefully you're wrong and Arsenal get a win. But if it's a draw, you know what? We'll take £7 to start us off. And there we go. Anybody else, if any comments or questions, drop them in now. I've been talking for so long tonight. It's been so long since I've done one of these shows.
Past my bedtime, mate.
Yeah, it's past my bedtime as well.
I've been on the go since 5 o'clock this morning.
You never sleep in, did you?
Literally, I was at Tesco Towers at 6.
Yeah.
Wow.
Back in again tomorrow morning. Lovely jubbly.
Right. Lee, any final comments?
Let's enjoy this next season. I'm feeling optimistic, and don't forget to join us on match day. Myself and Posh Bertie will be here with Chat Along.
Brilliant. You're doing Chat Along Friday night. We will get that set up and get it advertised. The other thing, we do have a fantasy football league if you need the code. If you're not in it already, I know there's well over 100 people in it already.
Yeah.
I think it was 127 last year, I think it was. So we want to beat that. We want to get sort of 150 in it this year. If you're not in it, jump onto our Twitter page. The code is on there. I get signed up for it as quickly as you can, because I think we're going to close it just before the Palace game, as we did last season, so that people aren't just joining the league when they're doing well. Really saying he hopes he's wrong, and thoughts on the Amazon doc. My thoughts are, I'm going to watch it tomorrow night, and we'll comment on it next week. I think is the best sort of strategy. There's no point having the conversation about it now. Let's see what comes out.
100%.
Daddy Fat's already joined up. Top Bins Athletic going all the way. Happy days. G, any last comments?
No, other than like Lee said, looking forward to, well, not necessarily looking forward to All or Nothing tomorrow, but I'll definitely tune into it and watch that. Looking forward to the start of the season. I'm really excited. And I just hope that we can start our season how we mean to progress, which is with a win. Good to be back. Good to be doing lock-in and last orders other than just rumor mill shows. I mean, it does get to a point where you kind of start to get a bit tired of just talking about transfer. So it's been nice, like being on the screen with the two of you tonight. So yeah, that's all good. But yeah, just looking forward to the game on Friday. Hopefully we get the win, and then we'll see you. Obviously, Lee's online doing a stream on Friday night for the chat along. I think we'll be back on Monday for the review of the Palace game, and then back Wednesday again next week to preview the following Premier League game. So yeah, I'm glad the season's about to start, and I just can't wait to get started. Let's go.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Sparks. Palace not as good as last season. Gallagher is gone. Yeah, I mean, he will be a loss for them, but I think they've recruited well. They've got Brunan Decore, who was linked to us, and we talked about earlier in the summer. And they have looked good. They also got to remember they've got Ize, and they've got this other fella who was out injured, will be coming back in, although he's not ready yet. Really, cheers, fellas. Have a good night. Come on, you Gunners. Daddy Faz, thanks, guys. See you Monday. We will see you then. For me, it's been great being back on. I have missed it. It's been way too long for one reason or another. Sorry, I'm just seeing another comment coming in there from Mr. Sparks. 1-3 the Arsenal. Going with the same as me. Yeah, I've really missed being on, which is why I'm kind of talking loads tonight. So I apologize for the fact that we're back on so long. But you know what? It's been good. It's been nice having a chat. It's been nice talking and not just being transfers the whole time. I've also just seen Lottie going with 2-1 to Arsenal, so fire that in. As G says, Lee will be back on Friday. We'll be back Monday or Tuesday next week, whatever. Do you know what? There's going to be so many shows coming up this season. You know, between all the men's competitions, Lottie covering all the women's stuff. You know, there's so much coming up, so much to look forward to. It's going to be a good, exciting season. And you know what? We'll say it now, as we always say on every show. Thank you so much for everybody's continued support. We really appreciate it. Without you guys, we would still do the shows. It just wouldn't be the same. So we really appreciate that. And, you know, spread the word. Let other people know about it. You know, get them involved, get people coming along, view the shows, get them subscribing, get them involved in the chat. And if anybody does want to come on this season, please feel free to drop one of us a wee DM, and we can organise, you know, if any of you guys feel like coming on screen and having a chat, make sure and, you know, get in contact. We'll organise something, we'll get you on, because do you know what? It's all about yous as well. It was the whole point of Cannon Chatter, was to bring fans together, give everybody a voice. And we've always said everybody's opinion's respected, as long as, you know, as long as you can back it up and it's done the nice way. Everybody's opinion's respected in this channel. So we want as many people getting involved as possible. Other than that, looking forward to tomorrow night, sit down and watching All or Nothing, and then excited for Friday night. Cannot wait. Football is back from the men's side, because I know Lottie's watching and she's going to tell me off if I say football's back, because football has been on all summer with a fantastic result for the women at the Euros. So other than that, good night, God bless, and keep chatting.